Are you scared? You're not scared? Well, I didn't try very hard. You think you're brave, do you? Let's see how brave you really are. I'm going to take you into a world that scares some people to pieces. Here it is, the world of punctuation. Oh, punctuation scares you, right? You're always getting those papers back with red marks on them where you left out question marks or put commas in the wrong places. Maybe you say to yourself, I just don't understand that punctuation stuff. And that's what most of us are afraid of. Things we don't understand. You gotta be tough with these punctuation marks. Gotta learn how to handle them. Get back there. Come on. Get into your right places. You see how they obey when you show them who's boss? You think you're brave enough to handle some of these marks? Well, then watch and listen closely. And I'll show you how to handle punctuation fearlessly.
Not me.
What do you mean, not you?
Well, I can't punctuate. I can't even recognize a simple sentence.
I'll bet you can.
Well, I'll bet I can't. I'll bet you a sneeze I can't.
That's a bet. If you can't learn the two parts of a sentence well enough to get into the period room, I'll owe you a sneeze.
Well, all right. And if I do get in, I'll owe you a big one. Where are we?
Through that door is the period room.
How do you get into it?
Well, inside they have a two-part code machine. The two parts are identification and information.
I still don't know how to get into it.
Well, you have to know the two-part code. Watch how the others do it.
Identify, please.
Amy Smith.
Information.
Would like to get into the room.
Period. You may enter.
Did you catch on to the code?
No.
Well, there are two parts to it. The first part is identification. The person who wants to make a sentence has to identify who or what he's talking about.
Identify.
My bicycle.
Now, in the second part of the code, he has to give some information about the subject. Tell whatever it is he wants to say about the subject.
Repeat identification.
My bicycle.
Information. Information. What about your bicycle?
Needs the gear shift fixed.
Period.
Well, I think I see how it works now. May I try it?
Go ahead.
I'll just tell her to let me in.
Identify.
Me.
Negative, negative. You cannot enter. Reason, baby talk.
I can't get in. Well, I want it in.
Then why didn't you say, I want in? You gave your subject as me. Me want in. That's baby talk. You better watch some more and see how it's done.
Identify.
The man upstairs
Information. What about the man upstairs?
told me to report down here.
Period. You may enter in a moment. Identification.
You
Information.
have kept me waiting.
Period.
Oh, I think I understand now. Identity is the subject I'm talking about.
Or talking to.
And information is the predicate, or simply what I want to say about the subject.
Right.
I'll try it again now. What sentence should I use?
Try old ladies on roller skates should be careful.
Identify.
Old ladies
Information.
on roller skates should be... What's the matter? What'd I do?
You identified your subject as old ladies. You weren't talking about all old ladies, were you?
No, just old ladies on roller skates.
Then that was your subject.
Identify.
Old ladies on roller skates
Information. What about old ladies on roller skates?
should be careful.
Period. You may enter.
I made it. I made it. I got... Oh, man, I can't believe it. Oh.
Hey! Hey in there! You owe me something! Oh, now that we know the two parts of a simple sentence, let's go inside, and I'll show you how we use the period. This is the famous artist, Rembrandt von Icke. He will now show us how the period is made. That's it. Thank you. Once we have mastered the technique of drawing the period, and we have a large number of periods on hand, the question arises, what do we do with them? We can use them as doorstops. The door stood open. Period. We can also use them as traffic stops. The traffic came to a halt. Period. They also make excellent stopwatches. I wish you would stop watching me. Period. A period is a stop mark which we use at the end of a statement or command. I'll show you why we use periods. All messages that we send to other people are made up of a series of separate thoughts. Here we see smoke signals rising from a distant mountain. A long thought, a smaller thought, followed by another long thought and a short thought. And all of these separate thoughts add up to the message being sent. In a similar way, thoughts arise in the mind, one after another, and we express each thought separately in what we call sentences. Looked at this way, it's easy to tell where one thought ends and another begins, and we can read the whole message without confusion. In writing these sentences, we set them down one after another. To show that this is a completed thought, we must tell the reader to come to a stop at the end of it. We do that by putting a stop sign there, which we call a period. Then we can express the next thought, put a period, stop after that, and go on to the next one. A period tells us where each statement ends. If you leave out periods, you're inviting the reader to misunderstand you. Now, Linda is a period leaver-outer. She types all capital letters, which is bad enough, but without periods, it's disastrous. Now, she's applying for a job, and in her own mind, she knows exactly what she's saying.
Dear manager, I would like to apply for a job with your company. For 2 summers, I have been employed as a sales clerk for the Jones store. I sold nothing that I did not take pride in. I'm sure it will be the same if I work for you.
But when the prospective employer reads the letter, she doesn't know where one thought ends and another begins, so she guesses where the periods go.
Dear manager, I would like to apply for a job with your company for 2 summers. I have been employed. As a sales clerk for the Jones store, I sold nothing. That I did not take pride in. I'm sure it will be the same if I work for you.
To show you how periods in the right places make a big difference, I'll show you the punctuation that gets one safely through this door. The water is there for others. There should be no water spilled on me. Let the water fall at the right time.
The water is there. For others, there should be no water spilled. On me, let the water fall at the right time.
That's why we say anybody who can't use periods correctly must be all wet. If the person who wrote these instructions had put periods after each completed sentence, there would have been no confusion. If Linda had separated her thoughts with periods, she might have a job today. There's only one secret to using periods correctly. You must learn to recognize a sentence. Period. Oh, I almost forgot. There are 2 kinds of periods, plain and fancy. The fancy one we call exclamation point. Wow! Pow! Exclamation point! We rarely use the exclamation point, except in writing speech. You don't just put it after a sentence to make the sentence seem important. It doesn't work that way, because the exclamation point signifies very strong feeling. We use it to show that we're yelling or excited or angry. For instance, wow! Hey, you! Stop that! Now, this man, calm, relaxed, from his attitude, we know that most of his statements will be followed by a plain period. But look at this one. She gets excited. These 2 illustrations demonstrate the difference. He says, "Look at me, period. I'm sitting here speaking calmly, period." But this one, she says, "Hey!" Exclamation point. "Look at me!" Exclamation point. "I'm dancing!" Exclamation point. "I'm dancing!" Exclamation point. Do you see the difference? Remember, for most statements or commands, even important ones, period. But for great anger or excitement, exclamation point. Oh, we better hurry. Here's our bus. Shh. I think someone's listening. Actually, these are the only other kind of sentence stoppers we have. We have periods, exclamation points, and ears. When do we use them? We only put an ear after a sentence that is listening for an answer. What kind of sentences listen for an answer? Can you guess? What kind of sentences listen for an answer? Sentences that ask a direct question. That's why we call the ear a question mark. So whenever you write a sentence that asks a direct question, draw a little ear at the end of it with a period under it. Now, anybody can tell that this is a sentence that is listening for an answer. Really, there are only two kinds of sentences we can write. Either we're telling something or we're asking something. If we're telling something, we're either doing it calmly or excitedly. And if we are asking something, the sentence is listening for an answer. There's no other way to end a complete sentence. These three are all the sentence stoppers we have. Here are three unpunctuated sentences. Are you listening? I think so. You are not. Using all of our three stoppers, how would you end each sentence? I do hope you're not afraid to figure this out.